More and more, employees in the United States and beyond expect a promotion to fall in their laps. Over the last decade, studies conducted by institutions as diverse as Bain& Company, Boston Consulting Group, the Kaiser Family Foundation, and the United States Labor Department have shown that people expect to get promoted after 2 or 3 years, and many think they are moving on within the first year on the job. In reality, getting promoted takes commitment, and there generally isn't a clear path to landing a new title. In today's show, we break down 20 unmistakable signs that you aren't getting promoted soon and offer to you practical solutions to get you to where you want to be. In preparing for this program, we interviewed 53 executives worldwide to find out why so many employees, experienced as well as up-and-comers, typically find themselves stuck on the hierarchical ladder. The following compilation is an edited and summarized version of the executive's insight, as well as data from our own research. Remember, though, that ultimately your career is in your own hands and that only you can kick things off and keep them moving in the professional direction you want. Stay tuned. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing wonderful. I'm doing fantastic. And if you are doing marvelous, as I am, please go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Now, today I want to talk to you about 20 unmistakable signs that you are not going to be promoted very soon. And most importantly, what to do about that, right? Now, before we kick things off, let me quickly give a shout out to our beautiful and lovely viewers and listeners and fans throughout the world. We remember particularly today Yareli Cruz in Wortland, Wyoming, Kyler Dennis in Redbird, Wyoming, and Patience Durham, Wyoming. Beautiful Patience Durham, Kyler Dennis, and Yareli Cruz. Thank you so much for supporting us. We appreciate all the support, all the suggestions, all the tips, and all the feedback. We really appreciate that. So now the very first unmistakable sign that you won't get promoted very soon is that you don't have the technical skills necessary to do the job. Now, this is a no-brainer, right? If you don't have the skill set needed for the job, chances are you're not going to be promoted very soon. Now, imagine if you are in a position that requires strong analytical skills and you haven't done the homework, you haven't taken the training, that is necessary for that kind of position, chances are you are really reducing your chances of moving up the hierarchy, right? So one of the most common misconceptions that employees worldwide have about promotion is that, those decisions are based only on performance in their current role. But no, if you want to get promoted, really, chances are management looks at a wide array of factors, right? So your performance is certainly a consideration, right? But if you are successful in one area, you can't translate that into another, right? So let's say you are trying, for instance, you are in a position that requires you to use Excel, right? So you are doing data entry, or you are doing data compilation or data aggregation. But to move up the ladder, you have to have strategic thinking and problem-solving abilities, right? Not just the manual work of inputting data. You need more than that. So the most important here is that you have to become aware of the requirements of the job you want, right? And you need, most importantly, to determine what skills you need to improve on if you are going to succeed in it, right? So this is the kind of homework you have to do. So if you don't have the technical skills necessary to do the job, chances are you will not be promoted soon. Sign number 2, you lack the soft skills required in the position. Now, in the first section, I was talking about technical skills, right? Analytical skills. Now, we want to talk now about soft skills, right? Now, what are soft skills? Soft skills touch on everything from communication to negotiation to conflict management, diplomacy, that kind of stuff. And you need to have that, right? So if you are accomplished technically If you possess all the 1,000 technical skills that are needed in your position, you need to be able to start thinking about developing things like your leadership, your teamwork, your collaborative skills, if you are thinking about moving up the ladder. Right now, one thing that management will never tell you is that the skills to be a manager, the skills needed to be a supervisor aren't always technical. Right? If you want to move up the ladder, you need to master, like I said before, things like business communication. You might have to negotiate with business partners, with suppliers, with customers, depending on your department. So you need to be a deal maker. You need to be a conflict manager. You need to be a conflict resolution specialist. You need to be a team person. You need to understand the chemistry within the team and the chemistry your team has with other department. And that's very important. So you want to start thinking about developing those soft skills that I'm talking about now, so that when it's time for you to be promoted, when it's time for management to consider you, they will have no excuse not to move you up the ladder. And this is very important. Okay. So first sign, you don't have the technical skills necessary to do the job. And second sign, you lack the soft skills required in the position. We'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Swahili Kiwi. We are very happy to have you here. We are still talking about today the 20 unmistakable the 20 unmistakable signs you wouldn't be promoted soon and what to do about that. So we talked about the first two. Now let's move on to the third one. The third one is that you don't take feedback. In other words, you're not in a position to accept positive feedback very well. Now, before I even talk about that, just want to quickly give a shout out to, not a shout out, but shout out to our millions of fans and listeners and viewers in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and all over the world. Really appreciate the opportunity to serve you, to interact with you, to converse with you on important topics. Please, if you find this content so far relevant to you, please consider subscribing. We really appreciate that. Like this, smash the like button right now, so that we can move up the ladder. Also, when it comes to the internet algorithms or the search engine algorithms, please share the content. We want to make sure people are getting promoted. They're making the money that they deserve, that their job is being recognized. So please comment below. Give us your experience also about promotion, the conditions under which one is promoted. What are some of the soft skills or technical skills that are needed to be promoted? Please comment below. We want this show to actually explode the comment section. Okay. Now, number 3, as I was saying before, you don't take feedback, right? So if you get defensive whenever you get constructive feedback, chances are you are telling management that you're not ready because you cannot handle you don't have the soft skills that I talked to you earlier about, right? So you need to, anytime you get feedback, accept it. Don't spend your time trying to prove your manager wrong, right? Instead of trying to prove your manager wrong, try to improve. Let me repeat that. When you get feedback, when you get negative feedback, that is, spend more time trying to improve, and don't spend too much time trying to prove your manager wrong. Okay, this is very important. So you need to keep your composure, and remember that the feedback is not always a bad thing, right? Because your supervisor might have some valid points, and what he or she is telling you is basically an indirect or direct way to help you improve your performance, right? This is good information, folks. Think about it, right? This is very important, especially when time comes for you to step up and get ready for a promotion. You want to be able to have the right criteria. You want to check off the list of items, the list of requirements needed for you to get that promotion. So your supervisor's criticism is really great info to have when you're gunning for a promotion, right? So always resist the urge to defend yourself. You can try to take it in, see what you can learn from it, Take a deep breath, just take a deep breath and get things done. All right. Number 4, you are not professional. This is very important. A lot of people want to be promoted, but they are consistently negative about their own company. Like, right, you go on online forums, or even verbally, they are constantly denigrating the company that they want to get promoted, and it just doesn't make sense, right? Because one thing you have to understand is that words travel. So if you are saying something, things that you're saying will get back to the company, will get back to management, right? Why would you want your company to promote someone who behaves like that? If you're constantly bad mouthing your company, it just doesn't make sense, right? Now, so you want to start conducting yourself more professionally. Now, it's very important to do so consistently, not just when your manager is looking, right? So don't get into office gossip. Don't try to be negative, right? Don't fall prey to always try to maintain confidentiality. In other words, we live in a global world, as I always say, right? Competition is global, right? So you want to constantly promote and foster an environment where the company's proprietary data is protected. So you want to maintain confidentiality. So it is very important that you understand that for you to be promoted, you want to act professionally, not only around your colleagues, but also around management, your direct management, but also departmental management, and just in general. How you conduct yourself will say volumes about where you want to go. So just to recap, number 1, you don't have the technical skills necessary to do the job. Number 2, you lack the soft skills. Number 3, you don't take feedback. Number 4, you aren't professional. You are not professional. We'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are still enjoying the show so far. We are talking about the 20 unmistakable signs you won't be promoted soon and what to do about that. Now, let's kind of give a general context of this conversation, what really prompted this conversation today. More and more employees in the United States and beyond expect a promotion to fall in their laps. Over the last decade, studies conducted by institutions as diverse as Bain & Company, Boston Consulting Group, the Kaiser Family Foundation, and the United States Labor Department have shown that people expect to get promoted after 2 to 3 years, and many think they are moving on within the first year on the job. In reality, getting promoted takes commitment, right? And there generally isn't a clear path to landing a new title. Now, in today's show, we break down 20 unmistakable signs that you aren't getting promoted soon, and we are also offering practical solutions to get you to where you want to be. So remember, folks, in preparing for this program, we interviewed 53 executives worldwide to find out why so many employees, whether they're experienced or up-and-comers, typically find themselves stuck on the hierarchical ladder. The following compilation is an edited and summarized version of the executive's insight, as well as data from our own research. Remember, though, that ultimately, and this is very important, your career is in your own hands, and that only you can kick things off and keep them moving in the professional direction you want. Let's move on to sign number 5. But before we do that, please let's just give a quick shout out to McKinley Valenzuela in Hortonville, Wisconsin, Tristan Sexton in Merton, Wisconsin, and Viola Jordan in Kaukauna, Wisconsin. Am I pronouncing this right? Kaukauna? Comment below. Let me know. If you are here, if you're listening to this program from Kaukauna, please just give me the right pronunciation. I think my pronunciation might be a little approximative here. So McKinley Valenzuela, Tristan Sexton, and Viola Jordan in Wisconsin, beautiful state of Wisconsin. We love you. Now, sign number 5, you don't take initiative. If you don't take initiative, this means that you might not be promoted soon, right? Because the thing is that you can always Some people, like some colleagues, you go at work and they're always the first one to acknowledge areas that could be improved, right? But they don't go beyond lodging the complaints, right? So basically, all they do is just identify what the problem is, talk about it, provide some solutions, but never really go beyond. And if you want to start increasing your chances of being promoted, you want to start taking initiative. You want to come up with solutions, and not expect everything and all things to be fixed by management. If you want to move up the hierarchical ladder here, you want to become a problem solver, which is very important, because when you're a problem solver, management is thinking that you care not only about your own career, but most importantly, about the long-term health of the business. A lot of people make the mistake that they want to be promoted. They want to move up the ladder in a company that they don't really care about. They only caring about their salary. They only caring about the kaching going into their bank account every 2 weeks, or every month, or every week for that matter, right? So for the company to promote you, you want to show that you're there for a long run and that they can count on you, not just for 5 years, but also 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, and even 50 years, right? So get into the habit of not just documenting the problems you see, but go further, right? Analyze the issues, find ways to get involved in the solutions, find ways to even lead the solution process, right? It's very important, and you want to start collaborating with others so that you can have a positive image, a positive reputation as a leader in your organization. Because remember one thing though, everybody and anyone can drop a complaint into the suggestion box. It's very easy. People are talkers, but can you walk the walk, right? Can you actually do something beyond that? Everybody is very good at, analyzing something, but actually doing it takes a lot more commitment. The funny thing is, over the years, it's always amazing. I have friends who, when it comes to sports, they are so good at criticizing the team, the players. They are even more coached than the coach himself or herself, right? But I'm kind of looking at this person. I'm like, okay, if you are so good at football or basketball, why haven't you done anything in your life so far on the court? Like some people are so great, they just analyze stuff, but they've never touched an actual ball, football or basketball or whatever. So the same analogy applies here. If you see something, do something about it. Just don't report it, right? Now, number 6, you think like an employee, not a manager. So if you think like an employee and not as a manager, chances are you won't be promoted soon. And this sort of harks back to my earlier comment about not taking initiative, right? So you can be good at your job, but if your commitment, if your mindset is always on getting out of the office by 5 p.m. rather than the success of the department, chances are you're telling management that you are an employee and you don't have management potential. You don't have supervisor potential, right? Because management is always thinking about, they are constantly browsing the workforce to see those who are there, who are in the company just for a paycheck, and those who are there for the long run. So I'm not saying here, folks, to become a workaholic. I'm not saying that you have to start hanging out in the office until midnight or come early by 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. just to show face time here. No, the idea is to express interest in the things that happen when the meter isn't running. The thing is that you want to show up when it matters. You want to be there when it matters. In other words, if during the holidays nobody's in the office, you don't have to stay until midnight, right? You can leave at 4 p.m. But around month-end closing, for instance, right? A lot of companies, especially people who are in finance and accounting, when the month closed, if the month closed, then you have this sort of I would say uptick in task, right? Everything is hectic around the office. So if the month closes, you want to make sure that you are there when it matters. If it means you have to work 12 hours, then you need to be there. So show up when it matters. All right. We'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. We have more for you. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I'm just very happy to be here. If you just joined us now, we are talking about 20 unmistakable signs that you will be promoted soon. And if you like this kind of content, if you appreciate the quality and the depth of the coverage here, please subscribe to our channel, hit the bell, the notification bell, so you are informed whenever we drop a new show. We try to drop these shows every day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, sometimes once a day. It depends on how lazy we are and the quality of resources we have. And one thing I also want to mention here is that please watch our ads, because this show is ad supported. We need the resources to expand our coverage team, our production team. We need resources to upgrade our equipment, to finance the trips to the sites where we conduct investigations, a lot of stuff that we need for. So please consider watching the ads served during the show. We also want to ask you to comment below, give us your opinion, your insight into the circumstances under which people get promoted at work. Please consider sharing this content. We really want to make sure everybody has a chance to be promoted if they deserve it. Right? So yeah, you know the whole deal. Comment, share, like, subscribe, watch our ads. Number 7, you expect a promotion. Now, this is counterintuitive, but this is what I said earlier in the introduction of this show. A lot of people expect promotion after 1 or 2 or 3 years. But again, a promotion is nothing automatic here. Right? So if you are, if you're constantly walking around the office talking about, I expect to be promoted, because I've been here for 3 years, I've been here for 4 years or 5 years. Things don't go this way, folks. If you feel like you expect to be promoted based only on your length of service, it doesn't work. You have to understand that in today's environment, tenure is no longer the primary factor in promotion decisions here, because the workforce is global. Again, you are competing, whether you are in Wisconsin or New York or LA or Texas for that matter, you are competing against a global workforce. Your competitors, your rivals are not just in the States, they are elsewhere. So these days, it doesn't matter whether you are in the position for 6 years or 6 months, 12 years, or 12 months. It's all about what? Your contribution. Remember that. It is about your contribution. What are you bringing to the table? How are you improving the company? People can be promoted after 3 months. I've seen that. I've heard about it too. Right? People can be promoted after 6 months. It depends on the contribution that you have brought to the company. All right. So make sure that the next time you are being passed over for a promotion, just remember that this is not the end of the world. This can be a huge learning opportunity for you. And the opportunity here is that don't just expect it. Work for it. Contribute. Show up. All right. Number 8, your boss or coworkers take credit for your work. If your boss or coworkers take credit for your work, this could be a sign you will not be promoted soon. Right? So basically, if you are just, submitting work, you are in meetings, you are submitting quality work, you are in meetings, you are going on professional trips, on work trips, and you're coming back, you're doing all the work. But in the end, you realize that when all is said and done, your name doesn't come up in the roster of the awardees or the roster of those who are being praised. Something is wrong here. Right? Especially if your boss is telling people, I did this, or I have led this, whereas in reality you were the one who did it, then something is wrong here. Something is amiss. Right? This could happen once, folks. I'm not saying that anytime your boss takes credit or your coworkers take credit for your work, that means that you will not be promoted. But if it happens consistently and continually and repeatedly, then you have to start wondering whether you will ever receive credit for your work. And it's very important. Again, if you remember about my earlier point, it's all about contribution, right? So if the powers that be never hear about you, don't know who you are, they are not going to promote you. No, because the powers that be only look at contribution here, because they also have to report to their shareholders, or they have to report to the company owners if this is a private company, right? So at the end of the day, it's all about contribution. So if you're not getting credit for your work, chances are nobody knows about you. Chances are you won't be promoted. I'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweaty Kiwi. I'm still here talking about a very important topic, and a topic that really has drawn attention lately, and especially because a lot of Americans and Canadians, for that matter, they are expecting promotion within 2 to 3 years after starting work. And the reality is that it takes more commitment to get promotion, to get a promotion, really. So I want to quickly give a shout out to our millions of viewers in the United States. We love you. We are appreciative of the work, of the suggestion, of the feedback that you send us on a daily basis. We like that. And I want to give a quick shout out right now to Zoe Myers in Shinston, West Virginia, and Theodore McCoy in Wayne, West Virginia, and Julian Klein in Bayard, West Virginia. Julian Klein, Theodore McCoy, Zoe Myers, we love you all the way to West Virginia. Thank you so much. Now let's just quickly get into this here. Number 9, you feel like nobody notices you. This is very important here, right? We are talking about being noticed in the office. So if you start feeling ignored in the office, this is like in a relationship. It works similarly. If you're in a relationship and people start ignoring you, your partner starts ignoring you, then you know there is something going on, right? There is time for a conversation. So the same thing happens in the office. If you feel like nobody pays attention to you, then you know that chances are they don't, right? So, for instance, if you sit in meetings, you attend conferences, you attend seminars, you're walking around the office, but nobody says 2 words to you, they may not know who you are. Again, remember what I was talking earlier about, which is if the powers that be don't know who you are, chances are they are not going to promote you, right? And that just makes sense, right? It just makes sense, because if nobody knows who you are, this may be because the kind of work you're doing doesn't directly affect them. So they don't really care about your work in the first place, and they don't even care about you. So if you feel invisible, it's very important that you start paying attention to that, because it means that you are being pushed into oblivion. Sometimes it could be your own fault. Sometimes it could just be things happen in the company. Sometimes it could just be that you yourself have done something that hasn't resonated very well with the powers that be. So if your managers don't recognize your completed project, your correspondence goes nowhere, your project status report are ignored, you want to start worrying right now. Number 10, you get interrupted in meetings. This is also another sign that you won't be promoted soon, because there is always, and this has been shown by psychology experts worldwide, there is always, like in the workplace, if you think about it, it's a game. Sometimes it's a zero-sum game. Sometimes it's a non-zero-sum game. And it's all about politics. There's even the term office politics. So people play around and see who is strong. So if somebody is interrupting you in a meeting, chances are that person thinks that you aren't going anywhere. You aren't going to be promoted soon, right? So they're looking at you as in the lower ranks, because if somebody identifies you as a rising champion, chances are their treatment of you will change. So if you get interrupted in meetings constantly, this might be a sign. I'm not saying this is a telltale sign. It's just you want to start paying attention to all the other criteria that I have mentioned here, right? So if you feel like you're being interrupted in meetings, you very well might be. And now the important thing here is that don't really panic here. Try to identify why this is happening. Try to do try to collect some intel on the things that are going on in the office, things that your colleagues are saying, things that your boss is saying, things that the management in general is saying, and try to see how all these things the constellation of all those factors affects you particularly. All right? We'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still here talking about a very important topic: 20 unmistakable signs you won't be promoted soon, and most importantly, what to do about that. Now, if you just joined the show, or you've been with us for a while and you're just wondering why are we having this conversation, here is the intellectual framework of this conversation. Now, more and more employees in the United States and beyond expect a promotion to fall in their laps. Over the last decade, studies conducted by institutions as diverse as Bain & Company, Boston Consulting Group, the Kaiser Family Foundation, and the United States Labor Department have shown that people expect to get promoted after 2 or 3 years, and many think they are moving on within the first year on the job. In reality, getting promoted takes commitment, and there generally isn't a clear path to landing a new title. In today's show, we break down 20 unmistakable signs that you are not getting promoted soon, and offer practical solutions to get you to where you want to be. In preparing for this program, we interviewed 53 executives worldwide to find out why so many employees, experienced as well as up-and-comers, typically find themselves stuck on the hierarchical ladder. The following compilation is an edited and summarized version of the executives' insights as well as data from our own research. Remember, though, that ultimately your career is in your own hands, and that only you, I repeat, that only you can kick things up and keep them moving in the professional direction you want. Now, let's move on to point number 11. Your ideas aren't heard in meetings, but they are reiterated and complemented by someone else later. This is a tricky one, but a very important one. If you remember, in the last section, I was talking about nobody notices you in the office and that you get interrupted in meetings, right? Now, what's very tricky here is that if you start realizing that your ideas are not heard in meetings, but they are echoed and praised by someone else later, then you know that this is just a clear case of intellectual theft. I'm not talking about IP here, intellectual property, because as long as you work for a company, your intellect is their property anyway, or at least part of it. So you can't say that, they've stolen your idea. But if somebody's taking credit and not giving you and just praising the idea later on, then you know that you are not going to be promoted, right? And the scenario happens all the time. Like, you just have a break in the cafeteria, and you're just talking to a colleague, and weeks, months later, you just realize that they actually took credit for it, right? So this is very important. You also want to understand that this thing doesn't always go around automatically, but this could be one clear sign that you wouldn't be promoted soon. Number 12, you're not given the resources to do your job well. If you're trying to do your job well, right, you're trying to do your job properly, but your company refuses to give you the tools, support, resources you need to do it, in actuality, it means that the company doesn't see your potential, or they're not even prioritizing your work, right? So they don't really want to invest the time or money to support you. So think about it. If you're not seen as an asset, if you're not seen as an important element in the team, why would they invest in you? Why would they commit more time, resources, and energy in you? So if you're not getting the resources you need to do the job well, you just want to start thinking that, hey, listen, they don't see you as promotion material. Now, the clear thing here is that you don't want to get defense, right? You don't want to start getting defensive here and panicking here, no. But you want to analyze very quietly the situation and see what's really happening and the solutions that you can take, and start thinking in terms of solution. That's what we want here. We want to start thinking in terms of solution. So that's number 12. So just to kind of recap, number 11, your ideas aren't heard in meetings, but they're echoed and praised by someone else later. Point number 12, you're not given the resources to do your job well. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing marvelous. We are still continuing this conversation here. And I want to give a shout out. Before I even give a shout out, please, if you find our content of superior quality, or just even average quality, we try to bring the quality up. But if you find that we are providing quality content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Turn on the bell notification so you are informed whenever we drop a new show, and we do so every day. Please like this content, share with other people who you believe might need this, right? It's very important to share the intellectual wealth. Please comment below. Let us know your experience about promotion and how things matter, how things go about in your company, and watch our ads if you get a chance, because we are trying to fund this program with ads. We want the commercials to surround this program so we can have the resources to hire more staff, to do to conduct investigations, to report quality but free content to you. So I want to quickly give a shout out to Bianca Fisher in Calotes in Washington State, Jason Fernandez in Mondovi, Washington State, and Eden Johnston in West Tucumã, Washington State. So again, Bianca Fisher, Jason Fernandez, and Eden Johnston in Washington State. We really appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your criticism, positive criticism, and everything else. All right. Sign number 13. You haven't been promoted or given a raise in years. If you haven't not been promoted or given a raise in years, this could be a clear sign that you wouldn't be promoted soon, right? Remember, right? Nobody is entitled to a promotional raise. But if you're not getting anything after many, many years, this should raise red flags that, you know what, the company again is not seeing you in their future roster of employees, or they just have given up on you. If the company is having financial issues, then that's one thing, right? Because if the company is making money year after year, or your department is bringing in cash year after year, and they're not paying you, they're not promoting you, then there is a red flag. Now, even if the company is having some economic situation going on there, this could be just another reason to reconsider working here, right? So either you ask for a raise or you find a new job, because you have to invest in your career. Okay, this is very important. Another thing that I've seen sometimes, that we've seen while researching this, the content for this show, is that sometimes you can be in a company for years, you haven't been promoted, you haven't been given a raise, but what they're doing is that management is turning around and they're hiring someone with the same skill set as you, right? Because think about that. Organizations aren't generally in the business of wasting money. So, and this means that sometimes they are trying to avoid redundancy. So if you see someone that has just been hired with your same skill set and they are being trained for duties much similar to yours, unless there is a clear reason for such an expansion, you should worry about the future of your job. You should worry about not only being promoted here, we're even going a little further, that just your position itself might be eliminated. So if you haven't been promoted or given a raise in years, just watch out. All right. Number 14, you don't have access to growth opportunities. If you remember in point number 12, I was talking about you're not given the resources to do your job well. Here is a similar or a related, if you will, a related point. If you don't have the access to growth opportunities in your company, this is a clear sign you wouldn't be promoted soon. If you've been stuck in a dead-end job with no growth opportunities, or you don't even have training programs, or you don't have mentors to help you advance your career, the only option for moving up may be just to look for a new company entirely. Because you have to understand that any workplace has a natural ups and downs, that they have a natural ebb and flow to the work, right? This really is expected. But the thing is that if you don't have growth opportunities, that means that the powers that be either are planning to fire you, eliminate your position, or they just have given up on you. In either case, that's just bad for you, right? So if you see a trend beginning to form, you want to start looking deeper. You want to dig deeper into the underlying causes and see whatever is happening here, whether it is endogenous, in other words, internal, or exogenous, meaning external. Internal meaning like the causes are coming from you. You are the roots of the problem. And exogenous might be the company, the department, your boss for some reason doesn't like you anymore. Things just happen, right? So this is very important. And remember that sometimes what is even worse is that if you don't have access to growth opportunities, you might be de facto demoted. Let me repeat that. This is like in life, right? Or in sports. I love the sports analogy more. If you're not growing, chances are you are shrinking. If you are doing some sports and you have been stuck in the same position for years, chances are de facto, in fact, you are actually shrinking. And in this case, you are being demoted. Another analogy that I love is, imagine you have the same salary for 10 years, right? But you have inflation, so you're not getting a raise. So things keep increasing. If you live in the United States, we have an average inflation rate of what? 3%, 2%, give or take. And in 10 years, things increase, but you are still getting the same amount of money. Your purchasing power is shrinking. So I'm just giving you analogies here so you can understand that at work, if you don't get access to growth opportunities and you get stuck in the same position, you have not been given a raise in years, you are actually being demoted. I'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We are really having a wonderful time here. We are talking about a relevant topic here. And the topic is about being promoted at work. And if you're not being promoted, what to do about it, right? What is the context of today's conversation? More and more employees in the United States and beyond expect a promotion to fall in their laps. Over the last decade, studies conducted by institutions as diverse as Bain & Company, Boston Consulting Group, the Kaiser Family Foundation, and the United States Labor Department have shown that people expect to get promoted after 2 or 3 years, and many think they are moving on within the first year on the job. In reality, getting promoted takes commitment, and there generally isn't a clear path to landing a new title. In today's show, we break down 20 unmistakable signs that you aren't getting promoted soon and offer practical solutions to get you to where you want to be. In preparing for this program, we interviewed 53 executives worldwide to find out why so many employees, experienced as well as up-and-comers, typically find themselves stuck on the hierarchical ladder. The following compilation is an edited and summarized version of the executive's insights, as well as data from our own research. Remember, though, that ultimately your career is in your hands, and that only you can kick things off and keep them moving in the professional directions you want. Let's move now to, where were we? We were at, I believe it was number 15. Yes, number 15. You feel like you are wasting your time. If you feel like you're wasting your time, this could be a sign you won't be promoted soon. Right? Let's say, for instance, you're not operating at your full potential. You feel like your life seems to be passing by you. You don't get inspired in the morning when you wake up and you're thinking about work. So this could be a good opportunity to start looking for new work or ask for promotion. Ask for promotion, because that means that intellectually you're not being challenged. And when, again, going back to the point I made in the last section, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. Whether it is physically or intellectually, or it doesn't really matter, but you want to be inspired. So if you remember that you spend a good portion of your day at work, you may not enjoy it, but life is too short for it to feel like a waste. If you're working 8 hours or 10 hours, I'm not even talking about the time you spend at work only. I'm talking about the commutes, the back and forth. So that's basically 1/3 of the day, right? 1/3 of the day that you spend at work. So you might as well just enjoy it, right? So if you're wasting your time, this is not a good time. This is not a good scenario. You want to look into that. And one thing that is even worse is that sometimes you might get managers or peers or outside consultant. They mysteriously begin to question you in great detail. Can you imagine that you are not only you're not really feeling inspired at work, but then you start getting questions appearing out of nowhere. People start paying attention to you and they're asking you as if they are thinking about either eliminating the position, or they are thinking about switching things around, reallocating resources. So if you feel like you're wasting your time, and most importantly, you get questioned out of nowhere, it's time to start thinking that, you need to kick things off in a different direction. Number 16, you don't get verbal praise and criticism isn't constructive. So if you don't get verbal praise and criticism isn't constructive, this is a sign you won't be promoted soon, because humans are social animals, right? So communication is important. Verbal praise is important, especially for positive reinforcement, right? As children, everybody loves positive reinforcement, right? So you continue to do well when you are told what you're doing well, or when you're told that what you're doing is good, or you were told that this thing is good. Let me repeat that. Let's say, for instance, you did a good job, right? You submitted a report 2 days before the deadline. Management praises you. John or Jane, this was great. It was fantastic that we got the report 2 days earlier. We really appreciate that. That's positive reinforcement. Or sometimes you can be told that something is good along the way. So for instance, they like that you put new stuff in the report, right? You included more data. You expanded the scope of the report. Those things are good. So verbal praise is important. Similarly, constructive criticism is also relevant. So if you're having feedback that's just critical and not helpful at all, then you know that you'll have a hard time making the changes necessary to improve, right? So the bottom line here is that criticism has to be balanced. Some people don't like criticism, which I understand, but it is an important part of the improvement process, right? So if your boss isn't sharing feedback with you that can be beneficial, it's simply because he or she doesn't believe in your potential, or hasn't taken the time really to think through ways to help you. And think about it. If your boss is not thinking about helping you, why would you want to work for him or her? That means that you will never be promoted, or you need to really change things around. And this is what we are going to talk about very soon. Okay, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I'm still here talking to you about a wonderful topic that we love, and that is being promoted at work. Let me quickly give a shout out to Imani Ruiz in Brownsburg, Virginia, Armani McLean in Burgess, Virginia, and Sania Alford in Lake Park Rocks, Virginia. So Imani Ruiz, Armani McLean, and Sania Alford, all the way in Virginia. We love you. Thank you so much. Now, clue number 17, you have zero autonomy. If you have zero autonomy at work, then you know that you will not be promoted soon, because remember, trust is important. And if you aren't trusted to do your job without being micromanaged all the time, then you want to start thinking about either asking for, having a conversation with your boss, or moving to a company that respects your experience and believes in you as a professional to get the job done. I mean, micromanagement is really not only a clear sign, it's just a bad thing in general, because it instills distrust in the team. It shows that management doesn't have a clear control of the task. It means that your boss somewhere or somehow is insecure enough that he or she cannot trust you, right? So you want to start thinking about those things. So because managers, people who have promotion, people who are promotion material are trusted. They are autonomous, right? They are given important data. They are given proprietary data because management trusts them. There is this sort of and trust goes both ways, right? You have to trust your management, and they have to trust you. So if you don't have the autonomy you need, and you seem to always catch up on important info, then you know that you are not in the right position promotion wise. Number 18, your relationship with your boss suddenly changes. And in this case, we're talking about suddenly deteriorates, right? So if your manager virtually disappears and you can't see him or her, that means this could be one reason that he or she again doesn't see potential in you, and he or she in this case is probably taking the easy path, right? Avoidance. Because conflict is difficult to manage, right? So people will do everything just to avoid that. So this is important, that your manager is not seeing the potential in you, and you have to start thinking about changing things around. Another way to look at this is that if your manager treats you excessively nicely, or you feel like being patronized, this could also be a sign that you won't be promoted soon, or even worse, be terminated, right? I like to give here an extreme metaphor, and again, this is extreme, but I just want to shock you a little bit. Like, think of it as giving the best meal to a death row inmate, right? So your boss is treating you excessively nicely because they know that you're not going anywhere. They're just trying to make you happy, and they know that you probably might be fired, or your position might be moved, or you might be demoted. So they're trying to compensate that upcoming negative news with something nice up front. This is what I was talking about earlier with the death row inmate last meal, right? Another thing that you have to also think is that if your relationship with your boss deteriorates and your manager becomes critical or unfriendly, he or she is not interested in small talk with you, or you notice that the smile is as elusive as your last raise, then chances are what you feel is reality. So you might want to start looking around in the company for another job, or you want to start freshening up your resume. You can also take this opportunity to have a clear conversation with your boss. Again, have a clear conversation where you have an adult conversation about things that matter, about your career, and just to give your manager a chance to tell you what's really going on. All right, we'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. If you just joined us and you appreciate the kind of feedback we're giving you, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you can get all the information whenever we release a new show. We do this every single day. Please like the content, share it, comment below, give us your experience when it comes to promotion. And also, when you get a chance, please watch ads served in the show. We need all the resources necessary. We need all the resources to acquire new equipment, to fund the investigation trips, to expand our team, and to provide quality content to you. Now, what is the context of this conversation here? More and more employees in the United States and beyond expect a promotion to fall in their laps. Over the last decade, studies conducted by institutions as diverse as Bain & Company Boston Consulting Group, the Kaiser Family Foundation, and the United States Labor Department have shown that people expect to get promoted after 2 or 3 years, and many think they are moving on within the first year on the job. In reality, getting promoted takes commitment, and there generally isn't a clear path to landing a new title. In today's show, we break down 20 unmistakable signs that you aren't getting promoted soon, and offer practical solutions to get you to where you want to be. In preparing for this program, we interviewed 53 executives worldwide to find out why so many employees, experienced as well as up-and-comers, typically find themselves stuck on the hierarchical ladder. The following compilation is an edited and summarized version of the executives' insights, as well as data from our own research. Remember though, that ultimately your career is in your own hands, and that only you can kick things off and keep them moving in the professional direction you want. Let's move now to reason number 19 why you won't be promoted soon. Poor feedback and reviews. So if your manager sends you frequent messages pointing out errors that are causing issues for the company, then you know you're in trouble. Or if your performance review is continually coming back with recurring issues, this could be a good reason that not only you will not be promoted, but you could also be losing your job soon. This is very important. So watch out for a performance evaluations that show more criticism than ever, right? Or you constantly want to. I always advise people to download and save the PDF version of their performance evaluation, so you can compare that year over year, or quarter over quarter, or semester over semester, because the idea here is to see progress, right? And again, remember, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. So and in this case, what's even worse is if you have the same issues coming over and over and over and over, you understand that your manager is tired. And if management is tired of you, chances are they wouldn't promote you. Number 29. Now, number 20, management and your coworkers are avoiding you. This is a biggie, folks, right? So if people start avoiding you in the office, then you know that, again, you will not be promoted soon. Earlier, if you remember, I was talking about if nobody notices you, if you feel invisible, that means that your job is not impacting them directly. Then people are not paying attention to you, and they're not even paying attention to your job, right? So if management all of a sudden begins to limit their interactions with you, then you know that something is happening. And one of the things that happens also is that all the past relationships that you have cultivated are deteriorating, and you don't know why. I spoke about your relationship with your boss changing earlier, but now it's more than that. It's your coworkers, it's management, it's everybody else. Can you imagine going to work every day for 5 days in the week, and people around you are just avoiding you, and your boss is not really paying attention to you, right? So all those things are telltale signs that something is amiss, and it is time to fix them. And this is what we are going to talk about in the next section here. So number 19, poor feedback and reviews. Number 20, management and your coworkers are avoiding you. This sort of completes the 20 unmistakable signs that you won't be promoted soon. Now, don't go anywhere, because we will be talking about how to fix all these things, how to get promoted faster. And this is the juicy part of things, right? Because in the first 20 elements, we have talked about the issues, we talked about the clues. Now I'm giving you the solutions. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're still here today talking about how you can fix signs of no promotion at work, And I want to talk now about the tactics you can use, the plan of attack you can use to move forward and be promoted very soon. Now, the number one thing I want you to think about is try to see the big picture. So you want to realize that being promoted, the potential move, can ultimately be good for your career. As I said earlier, it's all about not getting stuck. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. So you want to imagine a position without the level of stress you're currently experiencing. Let's say, for instance, you are being in the same position for 5 years or 7 years, for that matter, and you're just thinking, "Hey, listen, I don't see anywhere to go. I don't see no exit line, no light at the end of the tunnel here." You need to start imagining another position without the same kind of, some kind of lethargy, there's some kind of inflexibility, right? So this is very important to start thinking about that. Another tactic you can use is that you want to engage your boss with his or her special projects. This is very important. Now, you want to reach out. This is what I said earlier, right? So don't just focus on your task, on your day-to-day task. You want to inquire about your manager's plum projects. If you start showing interest and offer to help, you'll be surprised that your manager all of a sudden will start appreciating you. Because your manager will, at that point, he or she will start seeing you as a resource in advancing his or her own agenda. And if your manager thinks of you as a resource, guess what? This could strengthen your position. This is very important because the last thing you want to do is not be aligned with your manager's mission. If your manager doesn't see you as a pro in his or her mission and more of a con, then this is really bad for you. You also want to start showing your successes. To turn things around, to be promoted fast, you want to start showing your successes. Because you have to understand, this is a world where everybody has to talk about their own strengths and weaknesses, for that matter. And in a big company, some managers may be unaware of your accomplishment. So if you have 1 or 2 or 3 or several accomplishments and you're not able to basically talk about them, and managers doesn't know about them, then chances are you're not going to get the recognition you need, right? So don't be scared to fend for yourself. This is very important because your manager may even be threatened by you, and at some point you might need to go over his or her head if you have nothing to lose. All right. Another tactic you need to do starting today is you want to produce excellent work. You want to put in 100%, 200%, 300% if you think your job has potential. So getting earlier at work, show up at 7 a.m. and leave at 7. So 7 to 7. So getting earlier and stay later to get better results. The thing that I'm trying to show here is that you're the one who knows that your job has value. Show it to the whole world. Show it to your manager. Show it to your colleagues. Right? The point here is not to be stressed because I don't want this whole thing to become counterproductive for your performance, right? Don't overdo it. But you can maybe once a week, every quarter, you can put in more work because you are trying to show that you have value and that your job has potential. One thing you want to also start doing right now, and I mean right now, is to hang around more. Because if you're being around more, you may be able to have more honest, straightforward conversations with your manager or those in the know. Right? So don't be one of those colleagues. Don't be those colleagues. So people who, by 4 p.m. they're already out of the office. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, right? But you don't want to. You want to be around when things matter. You want to be around at important events, right? So if you hang around more, your colleagues, your manager, and everybody else may be more forthcoming if the ambience is more relaxed. All right. Another thing you want to do today is you want to control your emotions. right? I think I was talking earlier in the show about the importance of having soft skills. So don't let your emotions, don't let your fears get the best of you, right? So it's very important to always have a positive mindset, because nobody wants to work with a negative soul, right? So start thinking about the best tactic to manage your emotion. As a matter of fact, we have a wonderful show about anger management, stress management, emotional intelligence. You might want to check that out. This will be this has huge success, and viewers and listeners loved it. And I think you might, if you are in a situation similar to this here, you could find it relevant, right? So this is very important. Another tactic you want to implement today, if you find that you wouldn't be promoted soon, is to be visible. But most importantly, you want to be visibly helpful. So you want to basically, you want to find articles of interest to key managers and emailing them. You want to find out more about what client needs. You want to write blogs and articles through online social media about the company. You want to start showing management that they've got it wrong all along about you. So if a company starts seeing you as a driven contributor and a leader, or someone who's just interested in the long-term success of the company, guess what? They are going to keep you. They're not getting rid of you. No, they are going to keep you. And this is what we want to get to. This is the level we want to get to. All right. I'll be right back right after this. But before I get right back, if you just are trying to understand the conversation we're having here, we are talking about the 20 unmistakable signs you won't be promoted soon and what you can do about that. Because more and more employees in the United States and beyond expect a promotion to fall in their laps. Over the last decade, studies conducted by institutions as diverse as Bain & Company, Boston Consulting Group, the Kaiser Family Foundation, and the United States Labor Department have shown that people expect to get promoted after 2 or 3 years, and many think they are moving on within the first year on the job. In reality, getting promoted takes commitment, and there generally isn't a clear path to landing a new title. In today's show, we break down 20 unmistakable signs that you aren't getting promoted soon and offer practical solutions to get you to where you want to be. In preparing for this program, we interviewed 53 executives worldwide to find out why so many employees, experienced as well as up-and-comers, typically find themselves stuck on the hierarchical ladder. The following compilation is an edited and summarized version of the executive's insights as well as data from our own research. Remember though, that ultimately your career is in your own hands and that only you can kick things off and keep them moving in the professional direction you want. We want to hear from you. Please give us your insights, what you think about promotion. Comment below. Give us your appreciation. Give us your opinion about this. This is an important topic because every company is different. Every worker is different. Tell us what your knowledge is about promotion, what your history has been about promotion, what kind of what you were able to overcome the challenges you had at work when it comes to being promoted. Please share this because we want everybody to learn from from tips and tricks and tactics from the whole Sweetie Kiwi community, and this is how we all grow. So comment below, like this content, subscribe, and most importantly, watch our ads because this show is ad supported. We need to have the resources. We need to get the money, the resources to expand the team, to buy new equipment, and to offer free but quality content. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We are still talking about the tactics you need to implement to move things around, right? So in the first section, I talked to you about the 20 signs you will not be promoted soon. In the second section, I'm talking to you about what you can do to get promoted faster. Earlier, I told you about the strategy, the larger view you need to implement, and then started talking about the tactics, what I call the plan of attack. So plan of attack is important. Now, I told you earlier to see the big picture. You want to engage with your boss. You want to engage your boss with his or her special project. You want to show your successes, produce excellent work. You want to hang around more. You want to control your emotions, and you want to be visible and visibly helpful. Right now, I want to continue the conversation about how the tactics you need to implement to move forward and to be promoted. You want to take control. Take control. So you want to avoid inertia to curb stress, right? So the thing that's very important here is that you want to take practical and thoughtful actions that will help shed light on the situation, right? So, of course, you want to start looking at situations internally. So what's really happening? Why are you stuck in the position you are? And while doing that, you want to also look for work outside, right? Speaking of work outside, and speaking of getting promoted, we want to thank our millions of viewers and listeners. We acknowledge our fans who are currently looking for work, and we are particularly thinking about Evelyn Harris in Moundsville, Utah, Samuel Ellis in Fremont, Utah, and Maya Gordon in Harrisville, Utah. So Evelyn Harris, Samuel Ellis, Maya Gordon in Utah. We love you. Good luck on your job search. We really appreciate your tips. We appreciate your feedback on the work we're doing. This is fantastic. The next thing you want to do is you want to collect your accolades, right? So anytime you receive an accolade from someone about a job well done, keep copies, right? Anytime, it could be the feedback, the positive feedback can come from a vendor, from a client, from management. You want to start gathering and organizing them. That way, you can defend yourself if you are receiving unfair evaluations, right? Because it's just, think of this as conflict negotiation. Think of this as just negotiation in general. To prove your point, sometimes it's just a lot easier to show material, right? As opposed to just talking. So if you are able to show that, if you are able to show all the kudos that you have accumulated, management will start paying attention and they might promote you. Now, even if this doesn't happen, chances are you can use this file to foster your next move, right? You can use it in an interview with the next recruiter. I'm talking about an external recruiter. All right, so this is very important. Another thing you can also do here is that you can also start a discrete job search. Now, this is a no-brainer, right? I mean, if you're not being promoted and you feel stuck and you've tried everything internally, maybe it's just time to start looking elsewhere here. You also want to, and this is very important, folks, you want to remain confident and professional. Proper etiquette is important here. Proper etiquette is important anytime, anyway, right? So remain professional as best as you can, because in situations of uncertainty, in situations of in challenging circumstances, the powers that be will see how you react, whether you have management potential or not, right? So try to make sure that you keep your poise, your confidence, and professionalism, and try to show stress. Not stress. Try to show strength under stress, right? Because this could speak volumes of your value. And on top of that, you can get good references if you are on your best behavior. So this is very important. Another thing that goes into the whole emotional intelligence sort of aspect of things is never go on offense or defense, by the way, right? So you neither want to go on offense nor defense, because these actions will only exacerbate your standing here. So if you want to win over people, you don't want to start acting crazy, right? Because by acting crazy, you are just playing in their own hands. You're telling them that they were right all along, thinking that you would lack people skills. So you need to change things around and act differently, right? And another thing you want to do is Don't spread your fears. Don't have conversations with your colleagues. Keep those things to yourself. If you're not being promoted and you believe that you will not be promoted soon, don't start spreading things around the office. You don't know who is your enemy and who's your ally here, right? That's very important. Another thing and this is a biggie, folks. This is a biggie. Avoid saying any negative things about your boss. Do not become angry with your manager among your peers. If you have a situation, if you have a beef with your boss, approach him or her directly, candidly, and diplomatically. And I would even add, be humble in the conversation, right? Because at the end of the day, whatever is yours will come to you, whether you force it or not. So you have to do things in a diplomatic way, in a very, very strategically planned way, but it has to be direct, honest, and diplomatic. This is very important. So this here, folks, are things you can do. Clear things you can do. You can really, really do today to start turning things around. Now, what's my point here? My point here is that if you have signs you wouldn't be promoted soon, this is not the end of the story. I want you to really think about that. Don't think, oh, this is okay. It will never happen. They will fire me, or I'll be here for 20 more years, the same position, blah, 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 blah. No, this is negative reinforcement. It's bad for you. It's bad for people around you. What you want to do here is start changing your mindset and believe in your potential. Remember, the company hired you in the first place because they saw potential in you. What happened? Where did that potential go? Right? Now, the time here is we're not here to answer that question today. What we're here for is to acknowledge that life happens. And once life happens, things happen. We now need to fix whatever is the problem today, right? So we got to start looking internally and externally and find ways. So what I was able to give you in this program so far is, and you want to stick around for the pro tip. You will love the pro tip. I have a clear pro tip for you to kick things off right away, starting today or starting this minute, and you want to hang around for it. But the point I'm trying to make here is that when things are bad or things look bad, remember that this is not the end of the story here, and you can turn things around, and you can do certain specific things to get promoted faster. And I've given you the strategy, the larger view, as well as the tactics, what I call the plan of attack. And this is what I want you to focus on, the plan of attack. Things you have to do, and try to do those things on a daily basis. If you are stuck in a position that doesn't give you a raise or promote you, you want to start acting strategically. You want to have a plan of attack, and you want to do those things on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Either way, implement stuff and track it. Implement stuff and track it. This is key. That way, you are able to know whether you're making progress or what. If you're not, remember what I said, right? If you're not making progress, you are shrinking. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. This is just a natural law, not just in sports or in life. It also applies at work. So you want to track things on a single day, or you want to track things on every single week, so that you know whether you're growing or not. All right. We'll be right back right after this. Go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I'm just very happy to have you here. We are still talking about a nice conversation around how to grow at work, how to get things done, how to basically find work that we love. And we are nearly at the end of the show here, but we have a lot more good stuff happening, and you want to stick around to, most importantly, hear the pro tip. But I want to quickly give a recap of what we talked about today. So, the 20 unmistakable signs you won't be promoted soon are: number one, you don't have the technical skills necessary to do the job. Number 2, you lack the soft skills required in the position. Number 3, you don't take feedback. Number 4, you aren't professional. Number 5, you don't take initiative. Number 6, you think like an employee, not a manager. This is a good one. Number 7, you expect a promotion. Number 8, your boss or coworkers take credit for your work. Number 9, you feel like nobody notices you. Number 10, you get interrupted in meetings. Number 11, your ideas aren't heard in meetings but reiterated and complimented by someone else later. Number 12, you're not given the resources to do your job well. Number 13, you haven't been promoted or given a raise in years. Number 14, you don't have access to growth opportunities. Number 15, you feel like you're wasting your time. Number 16, you don't get verbal praise and criticism isn't constructive. Number 17, you have zero autonomy. Number 18, your relationship with your boss suddenly changes. Number 19, poor feedback and reviews. So you get poor feedback and reviews. And number 20, management and your coworkers are avoiding you. And I also talked, those are the 20 unmistakable signs you won't be promoted soon. And then I also talked about what you can do to get promoted faster. I gave you the strategy, the larger view, as well as the plan of attack, which we called the tactics, right? So now this is all important. Now let me first give you today's call to action. In every show, our viewers, listeners, and fans love it when we give them a call to action because it kind of summarizes very nicely what needs to be done. You know, like you've heard the show, you've got all the info, it's important, but what's next, right? Because we all know the popular quote that says information is power. And some people say that even a little child knows. This saying may be powerful, but nowadays it has become a cliche if you think about it, right? For me, information is certainly power, but action, folks, is omnipotence, all powerfulness, supremacy, right? Doing things is what moves the world. Doing things is why you are currently where you are. And doing things will be the number one reason why you will reach the destination you want to reach. Let me repeat that. Doing things is what moves the world and what moves your career. Doing things is why you are currently where you are, professionally speaking. And doing things will be the number one reason why you will reach the professional destination you want to reach, the job you want to get. So act today and start moving your professional life in the right direction. To get you started, here are a few things I recommend you do. Set and communicate career goals. You want to become goal-oriented, right? So every year or every quarter or every 6 months, you want to sit down with your boss and you want to set and discuss your professional career goals. This is very important. In this discussion, you want to be open about anything. You want to be open about where you see yourself 6 months down from now, 1 year from now. And remember, a competent manager will help you reach those goals by giving you opportunities to grow. And in addition to that, he or she will provide the support you need to keep you on track. Another thing I want you to do today is to take charge. Don't be scared to take charge. You want to show leadership potential, right? You want to show leadership potential. You want to show passion, trustworthiness, confidence, decisiveness, right? Those things are usually associated with leadership. Those skills are called leadership skills. And as I've said throughout the show, leadership is essential for getting promoted, right? So if you want to be a leader, you need to start acting like one. And the last thing you want to do is get involved in office politics, gossip, missing deadline, being late, just developing bad habits in general. This is not good, all right? The third call to action here is to start documenting your success. Document your success. It's very important, right? I was telling you earlier that it is good for negotiation to have things written down. Because if you want to advocate for yourself, if you want to be promoted, you have to start advocating for yourself. Because leadership only is going to help you if you can't back it up. You want to start backing things up, right? So whenever you have a great success, or you have something really nice, an accolade or kudo, whatever, you want to put it down. Again, I spoke earlier about whether this is an email, whether this is a conversation, this is a public praise lesson during a presentation. You want to document those things. Very important. Number 4, starting today, learn to make yourself indispensable. Just learn to make yourself relevant. You want to become irreplaceable in the company, right? You want to make yourself irreplaceable in the team. And one way is to become the go-to person for something specific, right? You want to become a thought leader in a particular field. Some people call this an SME, right? A subject matter expert. That will make you indispensable. That will make you irreplaceable. That will make you relevant. So this is very important, because people in positions like this are in position of subject matter expert. They are not only sought after by coworkers, but they're also seen by leadership, because they naturally stand out as someone people are always looking for. The last thing I want you to do today is to be collaborative. Learn to be a team player, right? So if you want to be promoted, start learning to speak as we as opposed to I. So when you want to talk about something, think about we, the team, not I, right? So this will really help you. So because the powers that be want team players who are committed to helping the greater good of the team, which ultimately benefits the company, right? So this is the kind of situation, this is the kind of positioning you want to have. Because again, remember that the conversation that we are having today is not just about the signs that you won't be promoted soon. It's also about what you can do about that. And being a team player is a great way to actually achieve your goal. It's a great way to reach your goal here, because going back to the conversation we had, more and more employees in the United States and beyond expect a promotion to fall in their laps. But these things don't happen automatically, right? There has to be something that you have to do from your end. You got to be proactive and reactive. But it's just better to prevent than actually treat. So it's better to be proactive here. And this is what we've been trying to show you throughout the show. Now, here is a pro tip for today before we just wrap this show up. Today's pro tip is this. But before then, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Here is today's pro tip. Keep learning. You want to take initiative, right? So you want to show your boss that you are committed to continuously improving and developing your skills. And you want to do this by finding out learning opportunities. And this could be in-house or outside. If you want to be promoted at work, you need not only to work hard and improve your emotional skills, but you need to keep learning. You need to keep learning. I'm not saying here you have to start a master's degree or PhD unless that's relevant to your job. But what you want to do is get in the habit of reading books that are important in your field, enrolling in one webinar each month. Use your own money to attend seminars and symposiums, and ask to be put on projects outside of your department. Because these things show that you are serious about your career and aren't waiting for someone else to get you where you want to go. Thank you, and stay marvelous.